is Michael Hart. I have been having problems with muscle cramps, cramping in my legs, and peripheral neuropathy. I didn't know what it was originally until I was diagnosed at the VA hospital. Since 2017, I've been taking a drug called Gabapentin.
Mm-hmm.
And then they also had me on a statin drug to lower my cholesterol. Basically, I was being medicated. The gabapentin actually stopped severe muscle cramping in my legs, but actually I think it may have contributed to the neuropathy a little bit.
It can,
And,
ironically.
But I noticed that especially over the last year, I was losing ground, and cramps periodically came back, and I had an increase in the gabapentin one time. That was in 2018. I've been on 3 doses of 100 milligrams a day since then, and I really don't like taking drugs that much because it throws you off balance a little bit. I had taken on so many projects recently, and the first year after I bought my new place out in the country, I made a lot of progress. I've cleared almost 150 trees, not really big ones. There were some big ones. Put up a new fence and a lot of work, and I had the energy to do it, you know, and the pain was under control, you know, and the evenings were always bad, you know, because I'd wear myself out during it. I started slowing down and having more pain, and the cramps were coming back. I just happened to come across this article in the Charlottesville Sunday paper, and it was an ad about this service. I read it, and I read more about it, and it was logical to me. I've seen an awful lot of trauma during my year and a half in Vietnam.
Tell us about Vietnam. What was one of the reasons that we talked about for this neuropathy?
Well, I went to Vietnam at 18, at my 19th and 20th birthdays there. During my second tour, I had volunteered to be a helicopter door gunner. I had been in the 23rd Infantry Unit.
Yeah. And
about the 4th day of training, they had me go out into the jungles north of, we were north of Tam Kỳ. Our headquarters was in Chu Lai, Vietnam. So we were out there and we were spraying a supposed and pretty much a known trail for troop movements and supply movements that was covered by a tree canopy.
And you were spraying?
And we were spraying something that was called Agent Orange.
Yep.
The stuff smelled horrible, and I didn't have anything to protect my face. At that time I was still training, so I didn't even have a face shield and a helmet, you know, to be able to communicate with the gunner that I was sitting next to. And I got that stuff all over me. After it smelled horrible from the start. When I first climbed in the chopper, you got that tank up in the center of the bay there with the arms sticking out about 16 feet and spray nozzles. And every time you go to bank, you know, and they would cut it off because the operators in the center of the little cargo area they got there at a Huey would bank, and then all that stuff would come wafting up in your face.
Oh my God! Now we know that that's neurotoxic and leads to things like amyloidosis, peripheral neuropathy, and other types of nerve damage.
Right.
So it got what you were feeling and what the cause was from. The doctor had you on gabapentin, had you on a statin medication. You were feeling pretty crummy. We started with the program here to really begin reversing the neuropathy only about a month ago. So you're literally like 1 month in. Tell us now, how are things feeling nowadays?
Initially, the first 2 or 3 treatments that I did, I didn't feel anything much different, but it started to, you know, gradually, you know, get a little better. And the cramping was coming back, and I was afraid I was going to have to go get more gabapentin, and that diminished. You know, the cramping disappeared. At this point, and I'm only about a month into the program, my hands are so much better.
Wow, how do you explain that?
And feet are so much better. Well, 2 things, really. The diet, and then the treatments with the infrared therapy and the vibration techniques and the rebuilder. I went all in when I looked at the science behind it, and it all made sense to me. So the first thing I did was clean out all my cupboards and get rid of all the junk that I wasn't supposed to eat. You know, and I ate a lot of junk food.
As you said off camera, you are what you eat.
Yeah, that's true. So I'm a Hershey's chocolate kiss.
Okay. Well, so things are feeling, what percent better would you say at this point? If 100% means all the symptoms are gone, and 0 is where you started.
I would say I'm probably at around 60%.
Nice.
Except last evening, when I was going to do the rebuilder, in the water bath, I had forgot to bring myself something to drink because you're sitting there for a half an hour. I had a book that I wanted to read.
That's right.
And but I had my shoes off and everything, and I don't walk across my hardwood floors without my shoes on.
Yeah.
Because the joints on my feet.
But you had your shoes off
I had
already,
my shoes
so.
off, and I said, well, I'm not going to bother putting them back on. And I walked out to the kitchen and got a cup of water, and oh my goodness, no stumbling and
Really?
Because the pain very severe, without support shoes and everything else.
So the pain is, you're feeling more like a normal person.
Yeah, it was maybe a little bit there, but it was a good walk.
Wow.
And that made me really excited. I've been the kind of person where I've always bitten off more than I could chew. You can see that now.
That's good. That's good. Now, in the beginning, before we turned the camera on, you said, I was never a skeptic. I did the science. I'm an engineer. I've studied biochemistry and all that. So after you did the science, you weren't a skeptic. But you can imagine other people coming in are oftentimes very skeptical. They don't have the background that you have. What would you say to the person here who's watching this that might be skeptical, like, hey, wait a minute, my doctor said there's nothing that can be done for this neuropathy. I just have to learn to live with it.
I would say doctors make mistakes. And when I was in pre-med, some of them cheat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So somebody's here watching you right now, and they're like, I'm not sure if I should try Praxis program or even consult with him. What would be your advice?
I'd say you got a whole lot to gain and a whole lot to lose if you don't, because just dumping drugs on top of it is not going to help.
Appreciate your time, Mike. That was incredible, and we got a lot of great statements out of that. I'm trying to remember them all, but thank you so much. And if it's okay with you, maybe we'll check back in a month or two. You're only 1/3 of the way through this initial phase. I'm wondering what it's going to be like at month 3.
I think that I'm going to be able to get back and do the things that I want to do that I was losing so much ground on. In fact, I'm already starting into it. So.
What's that worth?
So that's worth everything to me.